Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you. This cold, rainy spring day. So, how many new people are here, like first or second time? We won't put you on the spot, but just raise your hand. Wonderful, welcome, welcome. 4 or 5, good. My name is Zopa, Z-O-P-A. That's my Tibetan refuge name, and it means patience. And I wish I could find some. But I think teachers give you a name that so you can work on something. Anyway. This is Bill and this is Dora, and we're associate teachers here at KCC. We're very happy to be with you this morning. So we'll follow our regular schedule on Sundays, except for the first Sunday. The first Sunday is all day, and you can come for part of it or not, but this is probably the second Sunday. And so our usual schedule is we do about 45 or 50 minutes of sitting together called calm abiding. And we'll do some guidance for that. We'll also do a little framework for it so that we know why we're sitting, not just how, but why are we doing this? And then we'll have a nice break with some announcements, nice announcements, and we need a new word because that word, people don't like announcements. Sharing good news. And we'll have a tea break and you can talk with your new and old friends. And then please, if you can, stay for the Dharma discussion, which follows the tea break. Partly it's a generosity to others that you come share your questions. And I don't know about you, but I always learn from those discussions, and it always helps my practice. Okay. I think this morning I want us to just start with our beautiful prayer. Does anyone need it? Raise your hand and someone will bring around to you a copy. Please keep your hand up till you get one. Right there, Susan. Okay, who else needs the opening recitation? Thank you, Susan. Now let's do this together. And even if you've been here a long time, there may be some things in that recitation that are a bit mysterious. And that's good. So just fasten your mouth and mind to the word. If you're like me, you have to keep your mind from going out down the door back home, wondering if you turned off the stove or whatever we get distracted by. So just here with these words, whether they're familiar, mysterious, or whatever, let's recite this together with our hearts pinned to the meaning as best as we know it.
Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness.
So, I just want to talk for a short time about some of the phrases in this recitation. Until the summit of enlightenment. So that can mean many things, but at the very deepest level, it means realizing, living, speaking, acting based on our own true Buddha nature, our awakened mind, which is our truest nature. And we need to be honest about how we approach that. Often it's like, what? I don't believe that. It's also the truest nature of each and every being who is sentient. That means has feels things, even worms. But back to ourselves. The summit of enlightenment is not somewhere else. It's within our own hearts. It's our deepest wisdom, our deepest kindness, our deepest compassion, patience, generosity. So that's what we're trying to realize. Then in this recitation, we say we bring all sentient beings. Now that can be a puzzle. How can I do that? Well, through the deep interdependence, that is a fact. That everything I think, say, or do sends out ripples, and those affect beings, sometimes harshly, sometimes causing more suffering, and sometimes helping to end suffering. We are so deeply interconnected. So take just a moment to touch in on that. Today you're here in a building built by others, strangers, maybe some friends, wearing clothes, who knows who made them. You rode in a car on roads with safety signs and drivers who were careful not to run into you. This is the huge interdependence. Even someone gives us a challenge by being rude to us. That can become, as many of you already know, a good lesson. If only because you see your anger. Then you see, wow, doesn't take much to get me angry. And then you know you can work on that. So all of this interdependence is why whatever we do when we go for refuge, then in a way, all beings are affected by that. By the way, we do mean all. We don't exclude anyone. We mean friends and family, enemies and strangers, even beings that possibly are about, but we can't see them. So we go for refuge. Why do we do that? Well, I probably don't need to tell you, it's kind of a rough ride in this life. There are many difficult things that happen to us and to our friends and family, to strangers, and to enemies. Even you have a very nice life, very cushy, pretty easy, you're still aging without wishing to do so. And we're all headed towards death without wishing to do so. So we need some kind of safety, something to rely on. And in our recitation, it says the sources of true refuge. Now, this is a reference to false refuge, because if there's a true refuge, there must be a false refuge. So the false refuges are generally what we persist in pursuing or running away from each day. I want this. I don't want that. You get the thing you wanted so much, you worked so hard, and then it didn't fulfill your deepest wish, which is to have everlasting happiness. That's why we call it false. Cannot give you everlasting happiness, can give you some temporary happiness, usually pretty short. But we go after this over and over, and in a certain way increase our suffering, only because we can't see the limits of the thing we're trying to get and the limits of the thing we're trying to run away from. And that can be people or situations, even emotions within ourselves that we try to run away from. So the false refuge is putting too much on things and thinking they're too wonderful. You probably can think instantly of a situation in your life where you grabbed something, a relationship, a house, a car, a meal, a party, a vacation, and you thought it was going to be the it of it, and it wasn't. It came with all the things that things come with. Grumpy partner, bad rainstorm, car broke down, got sick. This is just a natural thing. We wouldn't suffer except that we try and fix the thing. Fix meaning hold it as though it won't change. And the trying to keep it or push it away, that's the suffering mind. Instead of just pure acceptance of whatever is rising. So I'll just say one more. You can see this prayer is just loaded. I am skimming over just the first two lines. So we go to the sources of true refuge. And in this lineage, in Buddhism, those sources are the Buddha. And you can think of that as the historic Shakyamuni Buddha, who practiced long enough, diligently enough, and with enough compassion that he broke through and saw the reality of not clinging to this self, not just pleasing this self, but realizing that deep interdependence that I was referring to earlier, and realizing the impermanence of all things, and living right within that view. So that's what makes the Buddha the source, one source of true refuge. The other source is the Dharma, which is all the teachings, all the practices, the path, and it contains 84,000 teachings at least, probably 84,000 practices. Don't try to do them all in one life. source of frustration. And the other source of refuge is called the Sangha. And that can be 3 levels. We have the Sangha right here. The lay Sangha. The people who are here, they want to be here, they want to do what you want. And that's very supportive. It would not be fun if I came here and I was the only one. So this is how we support one another with our presence, with our practice. And then there's the monastic Sangha, and that is people who have taken vows and robes and spend 24/7 practicing. They give up families, intimate relationships and jobs so that they can spend 24/7. So we rely on them too, even if we're not very close with them, because they are putting deep, deep roots down, and usually they end up teaching, and from that place. And we rely upon what's called the Arya Sangha. This is beings who come from humans, actually. I mean, it's not like there's something separate from us. They come from Buddha nature. We have the same Buddha nature as the Buddha, as the Arya Sangha. We have that Buddha nature. But these are beings that have completely realized that reality. They're just not necessarily full Buddhas yet. They're not at the summit of enlightenment. But they are enlightened beings that appear in many ways, and they're humans who simply practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until they pierce through this sense of a separate self, which is often the core of our suffering. We have a self, but it's not separate in any way. And the more we live knowing that not separateness, the happier we get and the happier those around us become. Okay, so that's just a little bit about this recitation. And then we say, I'm going to practice calm abiding. In order to end suffering of all beings. So we need to understand or experience, first understand and then experience how that can be. Again, the deep interdependence comes into play. This world seems to need some peace, some calm. Silence, ease. And as we engage in calm abiding, we experience that. Then as we go out and around the world, that will inform what we think, say, and do. It informs our presence, how we are. So that is how calm abiding is good for others as well as yourself. So check in with your body. It's quite good to do. Do a little scan. Feel free to move around. We don't need or want to be stiff or formal or anxious about our practice. We want to be relaxed. That will help the mind settle. If the body's relaxed, the mind settles. So check in from top to bottom. Just scanning. Whatever you find, meet it like a friend. You meet some stiff, sore places. Just smile at them or greet them in your mind. No problem. Now, this kind of relaxing is not the relaxing of spaced out in a hammock. This is a relaxing that's quite alert. Not alert like an emergency, but alert as in aware. Aware of the body, aware of the surroundings, aware of your thoughts, even aware of the emotional tone of your body and mind right now. Just checking in gently and precisely. Relaxing a bit more. Now, because our mind has the habit to wander, it's quite good to have some kind of anchor until you've done this for a long time. Sometimes we become proficient. I wouldn't be talking about myself there. But when you do, then maybe not the need for such an anchor. But for most of us, with our busy minds and our lack of time to cultivate calm abiding, it's good to have something we come back to. So most often it's recommended, it's the breath. Now there are all kind of levels of focusing on the breath. And what I've learned is sometimes I thought I was, and I wasn't. I was focusing on thinking about the breath. But this is about experiencing the breath without words. So just relaxing, find your breath. Focus there. And as soon as your mind wanders, which for some of us is 3 breaths, for some it's 21, for some it's 100, but be honest, as soon as it wanders, notice that. Be very happy you noticed. With no judgment, come back to the breath. This we do over and over, and this is the practice of calm abiding. I'll give one other helpful instruction that at least has been helpful to me from teachers. If your mind is very, very busy, do a few of these coming back to the breath. And if lots of thoughts flood in, go to the thought that you're surrounded at all times by countless humans, animals, and make the intention, I am doing this calm abiding for them. And see if that helps you come back to it with a little more intention. Okay, so we're going to do this for the next 20-25 minutes. Enjoy. Now check in and see if your mind is on the object before you move. Just see. If it's not there, place it there, gently, confidently, happily. And then if you want, you can have a little stretch. It's always good to, before each break or end of session, to have success, that you can place your mind. So it's best not to end with a mind that's on something else. So as soon as you feel ready, go back to your object. Remember that you're here, learning this, engaging in this, for the benefit of countless beings, and be confident that they are being affected.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you so much. Wasn't that lovely? I did it all wrong. I mean, it's just difficult. I'm not habituated to focusing. I'm habituated to distraction. Good to know.
How long have you been training in that?
Eons. Eons. We've been training in distraction.
Are
truly.
you getting better at it?
I hope I'm not. It's actually, we were joking and laughing, but that is so. We've been training for eons because Buddhism opens both ends of time in distraction. So that's why this is not easy. So we need to be patient and persistent. Okay. Wow. We have great big news. It is so cool. It's huge. Which is that Khenpo Lodro Donyo will be coming to join us in June for the opening of the gate of the 7 Dharma friends who have been inside that gate for 3 years and 3 months, and I don't know how long.
In a few days.
In a few days. So this is a very rare thing in the United States, maybe in the whole world, but especially in the US, to have Westerners who committed like that to this tradition, went into that retreat for 3 years, learned tons of practices which they now carry, and they stayed. Amazing. Amazing. I was there 1 year, and it's not easy to stay in there. It's a very small area, and you're with the same 6 people the whole year. And they were wonderful. And, but wow. So they're coming out June 16th. There will be a very big ceremony, gate opening, and lunch out at our rural land out in Goldendale, Washington, and you're invited. And Khenpo Lodro Donyo will be there, Lama Michael, probably Lama Songsing, maybe some other Lama Tara, yes, who's been guiding the retreat with Lama Michael. So in addition, the week before we'll have teachings here from Khenpo Lodro Donyo. I don't know if those are all, Dora can talk about dates.
Well, it's not set in stone yet because we don't have the airplane tickets and the things that will really help set this in stone. But I do want to, just because the time is short, it seems good to have you thinking about what is probably this schedule. That very likely Khenpo Rinpoche will get here in time to teach Friday evening, the 8th of June. And then teaching Saturday all day, Sunday all day, and then probably an empowerment on Tuesday evening. And so it's possible, if Friday evening doesn't work, then we'll have 2 evenings in that early in the week. So that's the time frame. They will go out to the land, we think, on Thursday, before. So basically that Friday, keep your calendars that Friday through Wednesday, because something could fall on Wednesday. And what we're asking for, again, not set in stone, but we're looking at different ways that the Dharma helps us to meet the circumstances in life and death that are difficult. And so we're asking for a talk on using the Dharma to transform adversity in our life, different forms of adversity. A day-long on the kind of that really covers the whole path. What'd you call that? Anyway, on the four dharmas of Gampopa is the teaching.
I came up with 4 titles. I don't know.
We
The four
probably don't
dharmas,
need
the
that
four
much
dharmas of
detail
Gampopa
right
is
now.
on the it
Mostly
lays out the whole path.
Something
And
like the heart of the path.
yeah, so okay.
At
Anyway.
least that was one of them.
And then a day long on the 6 bardos, which are both life and death, but also some advice on working with dying and death of ourselves and others. And then we're asking for a green Tara empowerment also. And there will be refuge offered for people who would like to take refuge in the Buddhist path, and that's something you could talk to teachers about if you have questions about that. We have something online about that too. So that's the
There will be many
plan.
more developments of announcements and more clarity as we go along, but you can see how wonderful this will be. And if you've never met Khenpo Lodro Donyo, he is happiness itself. He lights up rooms, and he is erudite and fun to be with. And he brings Lama Eric Troublehorn will be coming, our dear friend, and probably 2 other monks. So it's quite nice being around them. So other things, I wanted to remind people that you can have interviews with Bill or I, one-on-one. We haven't said that for a while, and we don't seem to have the interview pamphlet out anymore. But it is I find it quite good for my practice to meet one-on-one with my teachers occasionally, like a couple times a year. I try to meet with Lama Michael or Venerable Chidren to get some guidance about where am I, how am I doing, and what would you recommend, or just things I'm struggling with applying Dharma to life. So I just offer that to you, and you can, we have our emails and our phone numbers on the community contact list, and if you aren't on that and want to know how, Linda, can they ask you? Yeah, Linda, right here. You can find out how to sign up, and then you can contact us. We offer that. And there seemed like, Sally and Jeff Allworth's class. I watched it, and I had time on Saturday and caught up on the first one. What a delight. So Sally and Jeff Allworth, longtime students of KCC, are leading a class in care and feeding of your daily practice with the emphasis on the unbounded view. And we won't say more about that. We'll just say if you're curious about that. Can they join in at any class? So you're on number 3 Monday?
2.
Oh, number 2 Monday. Okay, so Monday night, 7 o'clock. Come here, register online, and enjoy that wonderful class. It's very nice to see Jeff and Sally bring their lay life and their practice and their history of practice forth to share with us. That's all I know.
I would encourage people to come. It did sound like it was quite a good thing to participate in. And just selfishly, since I watched by streaming, somebody really has to come so that those of us who are watching later have something to. It's a great act of generosity to come. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
and it should be quite rewarding as well.
Practice. Okay, anything else?
Just one last thing, that all this, these activities get announced on our announcement email list, and all the things with Kempo Rinpoche will get announced there. So if you aren't on that list, it's very possible you will miss developments. And so people can get you on that. Salidra knows how, Linda knows how. Go to kcc.org, and there's,
It just says sign up for
there's
this,
a place
sign up for
to
that.
do that. So that's how we tell you things besides this.
Good, thanks for sharing that. One more thing, Salidra, and you can use this microphone right here, that door, since you're close.
To those of you who are new today that I didn't meet, my name's Salidra, and I'm the official greeter today. And if you would go to the little table just on the other side of those doors at the break, I would love to give you a name or get you a name tag and order one for you, as a permanent one as well, and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Salidra. And also, new people, please feel free to come up and introduce yourselves if you want. And we have tea now downstairs and hopefully some snacks. And we'll come back in about 15 minutes. There's 2 bathrooms through that door and 2 bathrooms downstairs. All right, see you soon for a discussion.